Hi everyone, I'm Amuro, and I've got a story to share with you. Over the past 4 months, I've been working on a game based on an issue I had. You see, I started this theater course, and I struggled to remember the lines I had to say, the position, and what actions to perform. So instead of committing myself to study and not run away from my flaws, I thought, why not make a game about it? So, I know, I was never good at school. I guess you could say I'm an actor in a class of my own, mainly because I'm the only one, I think, who thought turning theater into a video game was a good idea. So, I started working on the concept. What about a center stage game where the player is the actor and in front of him there is the audience with all the jazz? So, the player's main goal is to say the right lines at the right moment, go to a specific spot on the stage, and perform the correct animation. I imagine the game structured in stories. Each story is composed by challenges and simple lines. We will call the challenges stages. So in each stages, the player has to choose between two phrases. Go to a specific spot on the stage and select the correct animation between three possibilities. The player has to do all of that in a set time period, for example, 5 seconds. And if you can do that, the total score will take a hit. All of these can be seen by the color that the chosen selection will turn into. Of course, green, good choice. Red, wrong choice. Yellow, a good choice made past the available time. And of course, the total score will be affected. So there are 3 parameters: answer, position, and animation. Each of these parameters has a weight of 1/3. And then there is the multiplier of the time. So if all the choices are made in the available time, the multiplier will be 1. Otherwise, will be 0.4. And of course, the time will be stopped only when all the choices will be made. The other important part of the stories are the lines. These are the moments when another character can speak, even though it's not present on the stage. So you can actually respond to someone. Of course, you can always transform the stage in a TED Talk, where there is no need for 2 figures. So, up to this point there was no problem. At least I had the idea. But here, the things got hard. So, I have experience in 3D, and I used the Unreal Engine in the past. But I always made small projects, and with the help of some course or other kind of help. And the logic was always programmed via blueprints. So, this gave me an edge on how to get things done, but I never really committed to learn C++, because, you know, C++.
However, I wanted the best performance for this game, so I spent an entire month learning the basics and more intermediate techniques. I built some project following this Udemy course by GameDev.tv. It is a great course. They explain every major topic in details. They help you build 5 projects, all different. A platformer, a tank based game, a simple shooter. Of course, most of the time you will just copy what the guy says, but you get the idea. By the way, I'm not sponsored, it's just a great course. So when I finished, I felt like a C++ god. Pointers, out parameters, methods, you name it. I started the theater game project confident that my timeline would be 1 week, 2 tops. Move fast, break things, you know, the classic entrepreneur story. Yes, I can do this in 2 hours and this task in 0.5 hours. I started to make grand plans. I even landed on Trello. You know that you're overthinking when you are an indie developer and think that tools like Trello can save you from the inner and most obscure of your qualities, procrastination. And yes, it is, and always will be your best friend. Well, as expected, it took a little longer than expected. Truth be told, The reason it took me so long is that I basically knew nothing about saving data, I knew nothing about data tables, and the most relevant excuse I have is that every day I woke up with a new bizarre idea. There's this saying, half of the troubles of this life can be traced to saying yes too quickly and not saying no soon enough. Josh Billings. You're right, Josh, but let's be real. Who counts how many problems one have? So without further ado, let's say yes to everything until your life becomes a debugging nightmare. So what about a player creating their own stories? Yes. What about a timer for each stage? Yes. What about an infinite way to display the new stories? Hell yes. What about a dynamic way to store analytics to help you understand how you will never learn your lines and position on the actual stage? Well, you didn't have to put it that way, but I mean, yes. And for a cherry on top, why not add actual NPCs that will throw anything on your stage if you suck? Once the music starts, you better get dancing. Side note, this feature is still a work in progress, so this is a devlog, right? Right. Let's see the actual game. The UI is still a bit quirky, so don't judge me for that. I'll definitely work on it. As soon as you start the game, there are two ways. You can go straight to the stage, select a story to tell, and try to flex your abilities in front of an audience. Or if you feel like you need to know a story before telling someone, you can always go to the Prepare Create section. Here you can read existing stories, surf through the stages and lines to study the right answers for each stage, and even modify the existing lines to create your own reality. You can also change position and animation that need to be played. And of course, you can always add a brand new stage or line to a story. If you instead want to use this tool to create an entirely new story, let me tell you that, yes you can. Just like when you stumble upon a new programming library, the possibilities are endless. Thanks to this powerful management system, you can create as many stories as there are stars in the universe. Of course, you need to talk to your computer first, but nonetheless, you can do that and just think, you can always change the name of your tale. Simply amazing. As you saw, the arrow on the stage are the spots where you need to place your character. But they are not static, the system is dynamic, so in the editor I can add or delete the pointers to set the right amount of spots for each stage. Let's see, for instance, let's say I want to add 2 additional spots on the stage. Using the editor, I can replicate these new pointers. In the settings for each pointer, thanks to a simple integer variable, I can specify if the pointer is the 4th or 5th. Then, in the Create section, you have the ability to select these freshly created arrows. Another feature I am really proud is the save system, made of data tables and array. I will make a quick panoramic of that. The idea behind it is curious, a little bit clunky, but nonetheless curious. Basically, all the data are saved runtime in this data table, where as you can see we have, as the key of the row, the name of the story and the number of the stage. This helps find quickly the chunk of memory to display, for example the correct answer, the wrong answer, the correct position, and the correct animation, and the other statistics. I said clunky because when I started the project, I didn't know that this kind of objects were not meant to save data, so when I discovered that, I was too much into development. So I had to use arrays to actually save the data, and then use these arrays to recreate each time the data tables. So under the hood, when the game is closed, the data tables are cleaned, but when the game starts, the data table is reconstructed, taking the data from the arrays. Once I understood their main use, I used them to save the animation that are called through the row key in the code. So let's wrap up this video. There are a few things I want to implement, like the play button in the Prepare Create section. That way, instead of learning through reading what to do in different stages, you can watch and learn what to do. Imagine to be a viewer at an actual theater and watch a play. You will learn through watching and hearing, and then you will try to replicate that. Then there are a few bugs I need to address. I need to fix the runtime score because at the moment it does not work. And maybe I will fix the UI. I said maybe because I have no idea at the moment on how to make it more user-friendly. Even though I know it sucks. We'll see. And yes, I think that a more fast-paced game can help because right now the pace is too slow. I'm not sure if anyone wants to play this game. I think it will depend on the stories that will be there, but still I am not sure. My main goal was to make something useful, at least for me. So let me know if you have found it curious to play or just helpful. I'm really wish to know. I never thought that this journey would take me so far, and at this point I felt bad not to share it. I made a lot of projects in my life, but I never share it or proper share it. One reason is that I always thought at making video the most stressful of the job. The script, the camera, the lights, and let's not talk about the montage, the real deal breaker. Because when I do something, I tend to overthink it, and most of the time, always, ends up bad. Perfection is the enemy of the progress, said Winston. And like Josh before, Winston, you are right. Alright everyone, this wraps up this first devlog. I hope you enjoyed getting a glimpse into my journey as an indie developer. Now I can't wait to share more updates and insight with you all in the coming weeks. I'd like to thank you, all of you who took the time to watch this video, and I appreciate any kind of feedback. So if you like this content, leave a like or a dislike. I'll read you in the comments. So stay tuned and ciao.